Good afternoon, students. For history, now let us continue with Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So, who is Firoz Shah Tughlaq? Muhammad bin Tughlaq was succeeded by his cousin Firoz Shah Tughlaq 1351 to 88 CE, who was nominated by the ulemas and the nobles. Firoz Shah was a peace loving, just, and benevolent ruler. The welfare of his subjects was his primary concern. Firoz Shah Tughlaq's 37-year reign is largely remembered for the numerous welfare schemes that he introduced to improve the economic condition of his subjects and to promote material prosperity. So, Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, who succeeded Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So he was nominated by the ulemas and the nobles. So who are the ulemas? The ulemas were the group of Muslim religious scholars who are responsible in giving advice to the king. So Firoz Shah was a peace loving, just, and benevolent ruler. He was a peace loving, a wise, and a kind ruler. Now, the welfare or the well being of his subject or his people was his primary concern. So his reign is largely remembered for the numerous welfare schemes that he introduced to improve the economic conditions of his people and to promote material prosperity. So now let us have a look at the reforms of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. First, that is the economic reforms. So reforms here it means changes. So what are the changes that Firoz Shah Tughlaq brought about with regards to economy? Tax, loans, or labor, that is the rules and regulations regarding economy. Number one, land taxes were reduced in the Doab. So, what is a Doab? A Doab here is a land lying between two rivers. So, land taxes were reduced. All the loans, which are the sum of money which were given during the time of famine to the farmers, were cancelled, and many taxes were abolished or eliminated. Old canals were repaired and new canals were built. So the old canals were repaired and new canals were built for irrigational purposes. Hundreds of wells were dug and a number of dams were constructed. So he also built numerous dams and dug hundreds of wells. These measures improved agricultural production and made the peasants prosperity and happy. So these economic reforms which Firoz Shah Tughlaq introduced has improved the agricultural activity of the people and have also made the farmers or the peasants prosperous and happy. Firoz Shah also built many new towns which exist even today, such as Hisar Firoza or Hisar in present day Haryana and Jaunpur in present day Uttar Pradesh. So these are the towns which Firoz Shah built. That is Hisar Firoza or Hisar, which is in present day Haryana, and Jaunpur, which is in present day Uttar Pradesh. So these towns which Firoz Shah built, they still exist even today. So now let us move on with the public utility measures, or what are the measures that Firoz Shah Tughlaq undertake or introduce in order to improve the utility or the uses of the people or the public. Firoz Shah started many schemes to improve the living conditions of his subjects. So he introduced many schemes to improve the living standard, the standard of living of the people or his subject. He built rest houses for travelers and traders and set up free hospitals for the poor. So he built up the rest houses for the travelers, that is, for the people who are traveling from one place to another, for the merchants coming from other places. And he also set up free hospitals for medical assistance for the poor people. Now, a charity department for the benefit of widows, orphans, and other needy people were established. So, a charity department or an organization that is responsible responsible to provide help to the poor and the needy was set up by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Now, this charity department looks after the welfare of the widows, the orphans, and the other needy people. An employment bureau provided jobs to the unemployed. So, an employment bureau here is an organization which helps people who needs jobs. It is an organization which helps in assisting people who are looking for jobs. A separate department was set up to look after the slaves. So during his reign, there were also a slave trade. So in order to look after the slave, he also set up a separate department. Now let us move on to the judicial reforms. So what are judicial reforms? They are reforms which are regarding to law and order. To law and order. So the judicial system was reformed and made human. Now, during that point of time, during his reign, the slaves or the criminals were tortured. They were tortured um, without mercy. They were treated without mercy. But his reform, the reform introduced by Firoz Shah, he reconsidered the reform and made them humane. Now he brought some changes by showing compassion to the criminals. Now, a savage system of torturing suspected criminals prevailed in those days. As I have said that criminals during those days they were tortured without mercy. Firoz Shah abolished the system of torture. So he abolished or he eliminated the system of torture. Even when suspects were found to be guilty, they were given mild punishments. So even those criminals who were suspected of a particular crime, they were given very mild punishments. A patron of architecture and learning. So Firoz Shah, he was a great builder of works and public utility. He was a great patron of architecture and learning. He built many towns such as Firozabad, Firoz Shah Kutla, Firozpur, Jaunpur, and Hisar. He laid out 1200 gardens and orchards around Delhi. These orchards produced so much fruit that it became a rich source of revenue for the trade treasury. So Firoz Shah he laid out 1200 gardens and orchards. So these orchards produces a large quantity of fruits that it became a source of revenue for the state treasury. Firoz Shah promoted education and learning. Many schools and colleges were built. So, as a patron of learning, he also promoted education and learning by building schools and colleges. And he also encouraged the scholars, the learned scholars, to translate Hindu religious texts, books on music from Sanskrit to Persian. From Sanskrit to Persian. So let us look at the foreign policy. So, what are the foreign policies? They are objectives or guides, activities which which are related to the relationship between one state with another state. So Firoz Shah, he lacked the basic qualities of a military leader. His feeble attempts to recover Bengal ended in failure. So we all know that, as we have read, that he was a wise, a kind, and a just ruler. So he lacks the basic qualities of a military leader. His weak attempts to recover Bengal ended in failure. So his attempt to recover Bengal ended in failure because he doesn't have the quality of a military leader. He was a weak in terms of military skills. He is weak. He is lack in both mental and physical strength. He showed no interest in recovering all the provinces that he had become independent during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So he shows no interest in recovering all the provinces that had become independent during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now, the death of Firoz Shah was followed by the disintegration of the Delhi Sultanate. So, after the death of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Delhi Sultanate was disintegrated. It has been fragmented, or it has been divided. Now, one by one, the provinces declared their independence. Only Punjab and the area around Delhi remained in the hands of the Tughlaq dynasty. So, after his death, one by one, the provinces declared their independence, and only Punjab and the area around Delhi remained in the hands of the Tughlaq dynasty. Now, invasion of Timur. The final blow to the Sultanate was dealt by Amir Timur or Timur. So, the downfall of the Sultanate was because of Amir Timur or Timur, that is the Mongol ruler of the Samarkand in Central Asia. He was a Mongol ruler. Taking advantage of the weak Tughlaq ruler, Timur invaded India in 1398 to 99 CE to plunder its wealth. So, taking advantage of the weak Tughlaq ruler, Amir Timur, the Mongol ruler, he invaded India in the year 1398 to 99 and looted all its wealth. On reaching Delhi, he went on a rampage. So when he reached Delhi, he ran a riot and killed all the people mercilessly. He killed men, women, and children mercilessly without any mercy. Then he returned to his capital because he had no intentions of ruling India. After killing all the people and looted all the wealth from India, he returned back to his capital. Why? Because he has no intention of ruling India. He carried back with him the enormous wealth he had looted. So, after plundering its wealth, Timur carried back all the enormous wealth with him, which he had looted from India, to his own nation. So, I will stop here for today and I will continue with the Sayyid and the Lodi dynasty in the next video. Thank you.